There's a study where chess grandmasters had their brain activity measured during their best games ever played. And here's the strange part. During their most brilliant moves, the parts of their brain responsible for self-monitoring, self-doubt, and overthinking basically went quiet. Not hyperactive, quiet. That's flow state. And it's not luck, talent, or being in the right mood. It's a specific neurochemical sequence your brain runs, and once you know the sequence, you can trigger it on purpose. Today, here's the problem. Most people treat flow like weather. It just happens to you sometimes. Usually at 11 p.m., the night before a deadline, when you're suddenly locked in and 3 hours disappear. And then you try to recreate it the next day on purpose and nothing. You sit down, open the laptop, and your brain just sits there like a browser with 40 tabs open. So you start optimizing new planner, new playlist, cold shower, standing desk. None of it works reliably because none of it is actually addressing what flow is. Flow isn't a mood, it's a biological state with measurable triggers. And if you don't know the triggers, you're not managing your focus. You're gambling with it. That ends today. I'm going to give you 5 steps, not vague advice. The actual sequence, neuroscientists like Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi and flow researchers at places like the Flow Research Collective have mapped out. Steps you can run before any work session. Let's go. Step 1. Before you do anything else, define one single, ridiculously specific goal for this session. Not work on the project. That's not a target, that's a fog bank. Your brain can't lock onto fog. Try. Write the first 400 words of the intro, or fix the 3 bugs in this function. Something with a finish line, you'll know the instant you cross it. Here's why this matters neurologically. Flow requires your brain to predict outcomes in real time and get rapid feedback on whether it's on track. Vague goals give you 0 feedback signal. Specific goals give you a constant stream of yes, this is working, or no, adjust. And that feedback loop is the engine of flow. So before step 2, stop and write your 1-sentence target. I'll wait. Got it? Good. Step 2 is where most people sabotage themselves without realizing it. Flow lives in a very narrow zone. Csikszentmihalyi called it the flow channel, and it sits exactly between boredom and anxiety. Too easy, and your brain disengages. That's boredom. Too hard, and your brain floods with cortisol, trying to manage the threat. That's anxiety. Flow only shows up when the challenge is slightly, and I mean slightly, above your current skill level. Around 4% harder, according to flow research estimates, not 40%. 4. So here's the practical move. If a task feels boring, raise the stakes artificially. Set a timer, add a constraint, remove a tool you usually lean on. If a task feels overwhelming, shrink it. Break it into a piece small enough that it's slightly challenging instead of terrifying. You're not trying to make work easy. You're trying to make it exactly hard enough. Step 3 is the one nobody wants to hear because it requires you to do something deeply unnatural in 2026. Closing tabs. Every time you check a notification, your brain doesn't just lose the 10 seconds it took to glance at it. It pays what researchers call attention residue. A chunk of your working memory stays partially stuck on that notification for several minutes afterward. That means a single Slack ping doesn't cost you 10 seconds. It can cost you up to 20 minutes of degraded focus while your brain slowly reloads the task you were doing. Flow requires unbroken, sustained attention, usually somewhere between 15 and 45 minutes of 0 interruption just to enter the state, before you even get to stay in it. So the move is brutal but simple. Phone in another room, notifications off, 1 tab, 1 task. Not on silent, off and out of reach. You're not disciplined enough to ignore it sitting next to you. Nobody is. That's not an insult. It's just how attention works. Okay. You've got a clear target, the right difficulty, and 0 interruptions. Step 4 is about how you actually start. Elite performers, athletes, surgeons, musicians, almost all have a pre-performance ritual. Same warm-up, same sequence, every single time. And it's not superstition, it's a trigger. Repeating the same short sequence before deep work teaches your brain to associate that sequence with the state you want. Over time, the ritual itself starts producing the neurochemical shift. Dopamine and norepinephrine rising, the prefrontal cortex self-critical chatter quieting down before you've even started the actual task. Your ritual can be tiny, same playlist every time, same drink, same 2 minutes of box breathing, same 5 push-ups. It doesn't matter what it is, it matters that it's identical every single session, so your brain learns the cue. Do this for 2 to 3 weeks straight, and the ritual alone starts pulling you into focus faster than anything else on this list. Last one. And it's the step that determines whether flow becomes a one-time fluke or a repeatable skill. When you finally get pulled out of flow, and you will eventually, don't immediately jump to email, social media, or another task. Take 60 seconds. Just sit. Let your nervous system come down on its own. Here's why. Jumping straight from a high-focus state into reactive, shallow tasks teaches your brain that flow isn't worth protecting, that it's just going to get yanked away the second it ends anyway. Protecting the exit, even briefly, signals to your brain that this state is valuable enough to return to next time. Athletes call this the cool down. Your focus needs 1, 2. Let's run it back. Fast. 1. Set a stupidly specific target. 2. Match the challenge to your skill. Not too easy, not too hard. 3. Kill every switching cost. Phone in another room. 4. Run the same pre-flow ritual. Every time. No exceptions. 5. Protect your exit so your brain learns flow is worth coming back to. None of this requires talent. It requires repetition. Flow isn't a personality trait. It's a trained response. If you actually try this in your next work session, drop a comment with what task you're running it on and subscribe. See you in the next one.